Santa doesn't use AI. He does things the old-fashioned way. Am I on the naughty list for not paying my employees overtime? I, 1755M, run a non-profit that give presents to good children every year. I have a few thousand employees, who help me out here and there to make this happen. In order to make enough presents for all the children on the nice list, I need my employees to skip lunch and take extra hours. I told them they were going to have to up their hours this year, and they demanded overtime pay, saying that I should already be paying them more for the almost 80 hours a week that they work. I felt like this was a ridiculous request, as I could easily outsource this labor to an even cheaper pool, like the gnomes. They're currently not speaking to me, and even Miss Claus is upset. So Reddit, am I on the naughty list? Am I on the naughty list for telling my dad I saw mom kissing another woman? I, 4F, went to the mall with my mom and dad this weekend. Dad left for a little, saying that he had a little work thing come up, so mom took me to see Santa all by herself. We got in line and she told me to wait just one moment by myself, and walked past the line to Santa. I couldn't hear what they were talking about, but I clearly saw mom give him a kiss before coming back to line. When she got back in line with me, I asked her why she kissed Santa, and she told me that he was an old friend of hers. Little did she know, I know that mall Santas aren't actually the real Santa, and that she was clearly hiding something. After Santa gave me my gift because I made the nice list and obviously deserved a present this year, we idled around before meeting back with Dad before we left. I asked Dad if I could tell him something privately, and I told him that I saw Mommy kissing Santa Claus, to which he laughed. Walked back to my mom to tell her. My mom looked embarrassed, and told me not to be saying things like that, but I didn't understand why Dad was so okay with it all. So Reddit, am I on the naughty list for telling my dad I saw mom kissing another man? Am I on the naughty list for threatening to expose Santa? I, 33F, work as a journalist tracking Santa's deliveries worldwide. Our job has us travel a bunch, keeping tabs on Santa to make sure he doesn't miss any homes with children on the nice list. Last year, I was working overtime by accident and saw that Santa was visiting a new location that I had never seen him at, an island near the United States Virgin Islands. I was curious, so I stayed late the next night and saw that Santa had gone there again once he finished his shift. I had never heard of this island before, so I asked a few contacts I had around the North Pole and quickly realized this was not a subject that people appreciated being brought up. When I asked Miss Claus, she told me to leave immediately, and the week after I was fired. I had a couple elves privately reach out to me afterwards, and they gave me some unbelievably horrifying testimonies about what had been going on there. Turns out, there wasn't only presents in those boxes. I decided I had to let the public know, but I'm worried this will end Christmas once and for all. So Reddit, am I on the naughty list for threatening to release the Santa files? Am I on the naughty list for organizing a workers' strike at my office? I, 11M, recently started working a new job as a delivery deer for a well-known philanthropist. While I knew the working standards were high, I didn't realize he gave no bathroom breaks, lunch breaks, or paid overtime. On top of all of that, he has us doing millions of deliveries each night, from the moment it turns dark to the second it gets bright. I started talking to some of my fellow employed deers who were also getting tired of having such stressful workdays, and I convinced them to go on strike. It didn't take long for the big boss to catch on, and he called me into his workshop asking to talk. He told me that funds were tight this year, and that tariffs had been hitting the North Pole especially hard. He said that millions of children were expecting presents this year, and that it would be unfair for us to take our grievances out on them. I asked whether we could try to compromise on some sort of paid bathroom break, but he outright refused and said if I wasn't in by next week, he would find another magical creature to deliver for him. After the meeting, a bunch of deer came up to me and felt like we had taken things a bit too far and asked me just to drop it for now, but the elves that joined our strike insisted that our demands were realistic. I'm torn and really don't know where to go with this next, but I wanted to know Reddit, am I on the naughty list for organizing a workers' strike at my office? Am I on the naughty list for stealing the last Who hash? I, 50s live with my dog Max on a cliff overlooking the town Whoville. The residents in town are constantly playing loud music while singing carols, which has gotten to be quite annoying, and the HOA does nothing about it. Recently, I went to the store in town to buy a can of Who hash, to find out the last can had been grabbed mere seconds ago by one of the Whos. I was a little upset, but I wasn't going to let it ruin my day. I was about to go on my way until the who took the Who hash told me to get over myself, and that my heart must be 3 times too small if I'm complaining about a can of Who hash. I was furious, but I dropped it and I went home. Later that night, I noticed that the Christmas carols outside were twice as loud, and I peered over my cliff to see the same who took the who hash had been playing carols right under me just to irritate me. I decided enough was enough, and later that night, I broke into his home and stole the last can of who hash from him, feeling that it was more than deserved after what he did to me. Once I got home, I noticed that Max had been a little distant, and it seemed that he was upset at me for stealing the who hash. I didn't think it was a big deal, but I've been having second thoughts ever since. So Reddit, am I on the naughty list for stealing the last can of who hash? Am I on the naughty list for kicking my son out? I, 50s M, work as a children's book publisher in the Empire State Building. A few days ago, I was in the office when someone buzzed in asking for me, which I assumed was some salesman trying to sell me some junk. Turns out, it was actually my son, and he had been taken into custody until I came to bail him out. I didn't even know I had him until a few days ago, but I was convinced by my wife that I had to try my best to help him get on his 2 feet. He claimed he was an elf sent by Santa to get me off the naughty list, but the doctor said that wasn't enough to get him prescribed on an antipsychotic. One day at work, I had an incredibly important meeting with a client that my entire career was banking on. Midway through the meeting, my son barges in and mistakes the client for an elf, causing a scene. The meeting was ruined, and the whole department is at risk of losing their jobs. In a fit of rage, I told my son to leave, and that if he contacted me again, I would end up calling the police. My wife told me that this was harsh, and that he truly needed our help, but I'm not so sure I want to see him again, to be honest. So Reddit, am I on the naughty list for kicking out my son? Am I on the naughty list for taking my hat back from some children? I, 40s M, recently lost my hat at a Christmas Eve party I was performing at. After I messed up a trick, I threw the hat away in a frenzy and forgot about it until the end of the night. I looked all over, but I couldn't find it no matter how hard I looked. Once I left the party and stepped outside, I saw a group of children playing around with an animated snowman named Krusty or something, and I realized he was wearing my hat. I ran over and yanked the hat off him, and yelled at the children for taking something that clearly wasn't theirs. I went home after and thought nothing of it, until my pet rabbit told me that the snowman passed away after I took the hat off him, leaving the children in tears outside in the cold. I told him I didn't realize that would kill him, but he's still given me the cold shoulder ever since. So Reddit, am I on the naughty list for taking my hat back from a group of children? Am I on the naughty list for refusing to work with my brother to save Christmas? I recently was contacted by an old friend of mine who told me her pet deer had been stolen, and her husband had been caught in some trouble trying to save him. She told me that I needed to use my mystical powers to make it snow in this town so her husband can rescue their deer, which didn't make much sense, but whatever. Unfortunately, my brother is the one who has claim to this town, and we currently aren't on speaking terms after a fight. I've always been the polar opposite of him, as he's pretty hot-headed, and I'm far more chill towards things. I told her that I couldn't help her, and unfortunately, she'd need to clear it with him if she wanted my help. She was clearly upset by this, but she left fairly quickly to try and clear things up. Somehow, my mom got word of this, and called me telling me how disappointed in me she was. I really feel like they're not respecting my boundaries, and treating me as if I have no good reason to not be speaking with my brother. I mean, he burned down my house for Claw's sake. So Reddit, am I on the naughty list for refusing to work with my brother to save Christmas? Am I on the naughty list for accidentally leaving my son at home alone while we went on vacation? For Christmas this year, my family decided to all fly to Paris, with all of our extended family joining us. The night before we left, my son kept misbehaving and insulting his brother, so I sent him to his room alone. That night, a storm came by and took out most of the power lines, turning all of our alarms off. By the time I woke up, I realized that we had already overslept, and I rushed to wake everyone up and get everyone in the car as quickly as I possibly could. Luckily, we made it to the airport just in time, and we were all able to board our flight. But midway through the flight, I realized my son wasn't on board, and that we completely forgot to wake him up this morning. With phones and power still down, I couldn't contact him. And ended up having to get another ticket home to make sure he was okay. Some of my family was upset at me for leaving, and a few even told me that it was irresponsible to leave him home alone. But I didn't mean for it to happen. So Reddit, am I on the naughty list for accidentally leaving my son home alone while on vacation? Am I on the naughty list for stealing my dad's credit card to vacation in New York City? I, 10M, was supposed to spend Christmas with my family in Miami this year. Somehow, my flight ended up getting swapped with someone else's, but I wasn't too bothered by it. I decided to try and make the best of it and travel around the city, but I realized, I'm 10 years old, I have no money! Luckily, I happened to have my dad's credit card with me, and felt like he'd want me to really enjoy myself while I'm away. I ended up getting myself a really nice hotel room at a hotel that was owned by some creepy man who hopefully won't become president one day. I didn't really worry about the price until a nice pigeon lady I met told me that my dad was going to be upset that I spent that much. I still don't think of it as a big deal, but I felt like I should ask anyway. Reddit, am I on the naughty list for stealing my dad's credit card to vacation in New York City? Wait, what the fuck? I made it to the end. Oh my god. Oh my god. Am I on the naughty list for buying the last children's stuffed animal right before Christmas? I, 21F, went to do some last-minute Christmas shopping with my family. My sisters are younger than me, so we spend a lot of time at toy stores, and I didn't really get to find anything I liked. Right before we left, I found a weird-looking toy that instantly spoke to me, so I picked it out and went to go check out with it. As soon as I picked it up, I heard a little kid start crying to her mom about how she wanted that one. I didn't think anything of it until I got to the register at the checkout, and the mom came over and pointed at my toy, saying that her daughter had picked that one out before I came and stole it. I thought about offering it, but before I could even speak, the kid started breaking down bawling about it, getting everyone's attention in the entire store. I ended up just buying it really quickly as the mom complained about me, ignoring her and ruining her daughter's Christmas. As I walked out, I could hear the mom complaining to the cashier, so I stuck my tongue out and made a face at the kid as I walked away. I definitely was the asshole for that, but I couldn't help it. I told my mom after, and she said I should have just given the toy to the kid, and that I'm too old to be acting this way. So Reddit, I wanted to know, am I on the naughty list for buying the last toy? Am I on the naughty list for buying the last of a children's stuffed toy right before Christmas? Am I on the naughty list for abandoning my daughter? I, 41M, am a full-time video game streamer, getting my start playing competitive fighting games. Over the years, I've made one bad financial decision after another, and I've come into well over $1,000 worth of debt. Happens to us all, really. Unfortunately, my content hasn't been doing so good recently, as I'm getting old and can't really win any competitive titles. Recently, some of the losers that watch me found out that I'm thousands of dollars in debt, oh god, and that I was previously making child support payments. Even though I banned them from my chat, people keep bringing it up and calling me a deadbeat, low-tier sperm donor, etc. And it's really been getting to me. But I really wanted to know, Reddit, am I on the naughty list for dating a 17-year... Am I on the naughty list for abandoning my daughter to be shit at video games? Pay your child support, Dale. Ho ho ho! Santa says that you should like, comment, and subscribe for more, because my beard is really itchy, and it makes it really uncomfortable to talk for prolonged periods of time. Like, comment, and subscribe. Am I on the naughty list for organizing a workers' strike at my office? Oh, okay. Same who that took the hash had been playing. Why are clouds on? Why are clouds on right now, dog? I came over and I ran over and yanked the hack off. Am I on the naughty list for refusing to work with my brother to save Christmas? Oh, I'm Mr. Hema. Oh, okay.